For our final discussion today, please welcome Booking.com Senior Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer, Arjan Dijk, in conversation with Skift Executive Editor and Founding Editor, Dennis Schaal.
Arjan, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis, and great to finally meet. No, so I've read.
Yeah, I've been wanting to talk to you.
Exactly.
They've been keeping you hidden.
I know.
So it's been a really interesting day hearing about developments in Europe, and of course, Booking.com is the largest online player in Europe, and you are the closer. So let's begin. I was talking to a short-term rental executive the other day, and he distributes across all the different platforms: Airbnb, Booking.com, Google Travel, Vrbo. And he said that Booking.com is the most marketing oriented of the bunch. And that when demand returns, marketing kicks in and boom, there's a flurry of bookings. Maybe it's the reverse. Maybe it's marketing kicks in and then come the bookings. I don't know. But tell me what you're seeing right now as far as lodging demand across Europe, and what level of marketing are you doing right now?
Yeah. No, I love to hear that, actually. So I'm actually very glad that that person told you that, because to start with, I really believe it's the role of marketing to accelerate momentum. So it's incredibly important, for us to really keep that as a notion, because clearly when there's no momentum, there's no point in doing marketing. You cannot sell a product to people when they're not ready to buy. When it's raining, you probably don't want to sell sunglasses. So sorry to be obvious. So what we're really doing is monitoring that momentum. And my team is looking at more than 170 countries across the world and really look at all the stats, all the things we see on our own platform, but also all available data. And then we say, you know what, things are ticking up in Germany. What are the trends we're seeing? Oh, we see really an opportunity in people traveling a bit more locally. So hence, we will adapt our approach in Germany specifically towards that. The UK yesterday, when Boris Johnson announced the new measures, we immediately saw a uptick, on our platform. And hence, we will immediately say, okay, what is the relevant message we can really market at this stage to UK consumers? And I've been actually really proud of our team, that we've worked really, really, really hard in the past couple of months to really keep that going and really see what we can do. And I'm not sure if you saw our brand movie, The World is Waiting, but this was again also very much in the spirit of, let's not add to the noise. Let's not really tell people, book your summer vacation, and nobody's really ready for it. So I don't know how you feel personally, Dennis, but I'm thinking of my summer plans. I'm probably going to Spain. I'm still a little bit like, okay, I'm not completely sure. So it's also really important that we have the right tone there, and we're working hard at that. And I was also Leslie, our head of PR, who we just also talked with, proudly presented to me also the success of our wishlist campaign. So we see actually that people are dreaming, and we saw suddenly on our platform that many more people were actually making wish lists, so liking properties in our mobile app. So we said, wow, this is fascinating. We're not really in the phase yet of being able to say book now and take your vacation in many parts of the world, but people still can dream. And we saw that, for example, in the US, you see places like Myrtle Beach and Miami Beach really suddenly rising up to being very popular, because people are thinking, yeah, where would I want to go in these times? So those were the kind of examples that come to mind.
So tell me about that local message. I mean, it must be, you're talking about, you can't, UK, you saw demand picked up, but you can't really say book now. So part of your job during any time is to localize the message, right? And now it must be, so complex given all the myriad lockdowns and rules and regulations. So what is the message now? I mean, what is it in the UK? How does it differ in Germany? How do you approach that?
Yeah, so I think the overall some general trends we see. So you see, for example, that flexibility is key. So it means that things like free cancellation is incredibly important, because none of us want to be stuck with the booking that you really struggle to get out of. So that's kind of a key message we really want to get across. Then focusing more on, hey, have you thought of maybe traveling 2-3 hours from your city? And then you see also, but it's actually too early to tell, a bit of a slight, shift to people wanting to rent a vacation rental that is a bit more private, that's a bit more kind of quiet. So you see a little bit more of a trend going out of the cities into kind of the countryside. But to be fair, at the same time, we see also when demand picks up, that people actually also really like hotels because they feel kind of more certain that cleanliness standards will be on a higher level than in an average
That's
vacation.
interesting that you say that because, Airbnb and the short-term rental people are saying, no, it's vacation rentals that provide the greatest level of, safety and cleanliness. You can go with your family, you could clean it yourself. You don't have to, mix in with a whole bunch of people waiting for an elevator. But you're leaning towards hotel. You think hotels will come back sooner, or
No.
how do you view it?
Listen, we're not going to prescribe to our customers what they should do. So I'm not going to say, oh, you should book a hotel or you should book a vacation rental. And guess what? At Booking.com, we have the widest choice in both. You know what I mean? So it's really up to our consumers to decide on this. And it's all different for everyone. You probably agree. I have family members who are very anxious, and I have family members who are not anxious at all in these times. So it is really dependent on our consumers. And the great thing is that, we have all the choice. So if people want to stay in a hotel, we have great options. If they want to stay in a vacation rental, they have great options. I understand that Airbnb is saying that because guess what? They only have vacation rentals. So by the way, I'm not buying it. So this is actually not what I believe is true. And I understand Brian Chesky, he did an interview on CNBC and talking about how travel will change permanently. I don't even believe that. So I do think that things will be different for the short to medium term, but I do think when things come back, that people still, will actually do the things that they wanted to do before the pandemic hit.
So you're not a subscriber or a believer in Brian Chesky's travel redistribution forever?
No, not at all.
Will,
not at all. Not at all.
I think people will still be going to Barcelona and Venice and all of that.
No, but you saw our brand movie, that's exactly the point. We have these kind of iconic, beautiful places in the world that we all love to go to. And nothing beats seeing that in person. So of course it will not, but it makes a good headline. So I give that to Brian, good headlines matter. So
they do.
Yeah.
So here's a wonky marketing question. So in your guys' first quarter earnings call, Glenn was talking about new things that can be done with brand marketing. And he said something like, marketing on desktop, you can now produce half video, half home, half brand, half performance through video channels with better response and ROI measurement. What is he talking about? Well, and are you doing it?
No, I don't know if you noticed, but I arrived 12 months ago. I had my 1-year anniversary at Booking.com, so I was very happy with that. Right. And it's great to be at the company. But one of the things we changed in my early days was already not make the differentiation anymore between brand marketing and performance marketing. You might know that we actually disclosed in our financials the specific amounts we spent on both. We now actually disclose one amount. And that's really key for me because any dollar we spend needs to drive a return on investment. And of course, it might mean different things in different channels where certain channels are better geared towards driving awareness, driving preference, driving all these kind of things. But adding this kind of distinction more or less makes it a little bit schizophrenic, I find, and a bit old school. If you ask me, this is the olden days. So of traditional brand marketing where you put a 30-second on a commercial on linear TV, well, that ship has sailed. And clearly there's still a role for those channels to play, but the whole kind of traditional approach is not one we really subscribe to. And I think that's what he meant, that you can't just judge a channel on, oh, this is performance or this is brand. We have grown in many countries, our brand, by being really focused on, for example, search channels or meta channels, and we've become a very, household brand name. So it means that we have built our brand in those channels, if you know what I mean. So I wouldn't necessarily make that distinction. And Glenn probably meant that.
But that's really different though than the way Glenn was talking, say, like 2 years ago. And doesn't the distinction between brand and performance mean direct booking versus third-party booking? Isn't the whole game plan to get people coming directly to Booking.com through the app or your websites?
Yeah, but again, I feel that it's up to our consumers to decide how they come in to us. You know, we're not going to prescribe that. Clearly, once they have booked with us, we really want them to come directly to us. And we offer great programs like Genius, as you know. That means if you do 2 bookings, you become Genius for life. If you do more bookings, you can even get a higher level. So that's clearly our focus, you know. And, you know, also that more than 50% of our, business comes from direct sources, as we call them. So that's really key. But I don't think that we as a brand have to dictate where you should come from. You know what I mean? I'm still one of these people, I don't know about you, that I'm not going to book in the mobile app myself. I will probably book on the desktop, you know, and really I want to see pictures, especially for my summer vacation. But when you're on the go, you clearly want to go into the mobile app and say, quickly, I want to book a room for tonight. I want to book a room for tomorrow. Generationally, you know, I'm middle-aged, so generationally, I'm probably one of the laggards here, that I'm still on desktop, because, you know, other generations might actually only be on the mobile phone. So, but we're not going to tell the people on the mobile phone, hey, use desktop. So it's really up to them to decide on that.
But doesn't you say that you want people to come to Booking.com whichever way they want to come, right? But aren't there big financial implications with that? Like, for example, you know, Expedia, you know, got slammed because they were forced into, you know, higher paid marketing channels by Google, you know, usurping some of their free traffic. So the statement that we don't care how do they come to Booking.com, doesn't that have major financial implications?
Well, we manage, you know, our marketing budget to very strict ROIs. So, and that's something, you know, we're really obsessed about. If you would look at my team, probably a third consists of data scientists, and their key job is to really say, okay, what, you know, should we spend in what channels? And we're actually very agnostic, Dennis. So we don't really attach value to that. And we say, you know what, this channel is growing. It delivers us very good ROIs. Very interesting. I personally believe, you know, I've worked at Google for a long time, for more than 11 years.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about that.
Yeah, you know, I'm sure. Yeah. So the main thing is talking about, for example, SEO and SEM, you know, that those comments, I think, would have been appropriate 2 or 3 years ago, you know, of our competitors, you know. So I don't really believe that, you know, when you go on mobile, for example, I don't know if you know, but, you know, you have to scroll pretty down, you know, to get to a natural search listing. So this already has been the case for years. So why are our competitors suddenly talking about it? I think there are probably other reasons, that, you know, the overall return on investment in their marketing budget as a total is probably not, you know, on the level where they want it to be. Yeah.
So you worked at Google for 10 to 11 years, and Booking.com and Google have been very close partners. It reminds me of when former CEO Darren Houston said that Booking.com and Ctrip are almost like first cousins. So you had a very close relationship with Google. Booking.com did. So what are the advantages? What did you bring to the table from Google that you know? Why was this a coup for Booking.com?
Yeah, I would say, of course, Dennis, you're softballing questions to me, of course. You know, like, no, listen, the main thing.
Okay, why was this a terrible move by Booking.com too?
No, it was a great move for all of us, you know. So I'm originally Dutch, you probably know that. So when I got the call to start talking with Booking.com, I was like, oh my God, this is the only job in the whole of Northern Europe I'm even considering. You know, it's a global marketing job at a company that is very well respected, you know, and I think actually I can add a lot of value. So that's the reason to give you the quick download for me actually taking the call. And the good thing of me knowing Google really well is that, you know, clearly there is consumer behavior that actually will lead people to Google. So how do we as Booking.com really work best with Google to make sure that, you know, we get the demand that we want at the right ROIs? And it doesn't mean, you know, we don't have tense discussions, you know what I mean? But clearly we're very good partners, you know, that help each other.
What are those tense discussions about?
Of course, I want things to be cheaper and better and faster, and we want to grow faster and we want to do more things. And there are many, many, many things clearly when you dive into the detail that we as Booking.com would want. But that's not different, by the way, how we operate with any of our partners, our big advertising partners like Facebook or any other partner.
Right.
Yeah.
So early last year, Agoda was participating in Google Vacation Rentals, and then dropped out. So there are no booking holding brands participating in Google Vacation Rentals, which I understand isn't really a powerful force yet. Google is kind of playing around, perfecting the product. Nobody's booking right now. And then as soon as Booking Holdings dropped out, Airbnb jumped in to Google Vacation Rentals. So how do you envision, given the COVID-19 crisis and the recovery, do you envision jumping back in, or how do you view Google Travel?
Yeah, then the most important thing is that what I told you is we're actually pretty agnostic. We will go where we think, our opportunities. We're also very open to test out new things. So there is a very solid chance that we might participate in Google Vacation Rentals. So for sure. And but what I said already, we will take it really as, what? Let's try things out, see if they work. Are they worthwhile our investment, either in people or in money? And then we'll decide on the future. But it's really as simple as that. So there's no kind of, religious principles that guide us and say, oh, we shall never, or we shall not that. We're really a company that wants to go where, our consumers are. We want to engage with our consumers at the right moment, at the right time, with a great product. And that's what we do.
I love that we're finally talking about religion. So are you agnostic or a believer in Trivago and metasearch in general? I think you had first quarter, 38% of Trivago's revenue was from Booking Holdings. A year ago, it was 37%. Have they sort of, there was some friction going back, I would say a year ago or 2 years ago or whatever. Have things sort of, have you mended fences in any way with Trivago, and are they doing the right thing for brands like you at this point?
Yeah, well, Trivago clearly is a very significant partner for us, and I meet very regularly with Axel, the CEO. I actually met with him last week, and we discussed the industry, the trends. We also really discussed the role of his platform for us, and what I said already is that, as long as we believe, and that's not a belief, that's really looking at data and at numbers, that we think that it's worth our while to work with partners like Trivago, we will be there. Yeah, so there is no religion to that in that sense. So you see that actually consumers across the world can be very different. Depending on where you are in the world, so different platforms have different roles to play, and we clearly want to be able to get the demand that's there in different markets.
Switching gears to tours and activities. So Booking Holdings or Booking.com had a change in strategy earlier this year where you pivoted from build your own to the partnership model. So you have a big partnership coming up with Musement, which is part of TUI, and yeah. I imagine that's not exclusive, that there'll be more partnerships to come. So how does that change your marketing approach as far as tours and activities go? And that was, it was supposed to be a major component of the connected trip. Well, so how do you view that at this point?
Yeah, I don't think that the marketing angle is very different. The reality is that most people who book a trip will also do a couple of things, which is when you're in Paris, you go to the Louvre, you go to the Eiffel Tower, you probably book a restaurant, and you probably need a taxi, or you probably need a flight. So the whole point of that connected trip is that we really want to make it as easy for everyone, as we call it, to experience the world, by really giving that opportunity to really use our platform at the right time. And we know, for example, that a lot of people don't really plan ahead. And for example, when they're in Paris, they really will look, okay, what shall we do? And it depends clearly also, is it raining? Is it warm? Is it, what will you do? So I don't think actually that this change in strategy, as you call it, actually has massive repercussions on our marketing, because the principles are exactly the same. The only way how we execute on it is a little bit different, but in my perspective, from a marketing point of view, it doesn't really make a difference.
Okay. There's been a lot of talk about travel recovery programs. So Expedia handed out marketing credits to partners. Airbnb actually handed out some money, some grants to superhosts. Booking.com seems to be relying on, as a longer-term strategy, providing data insights and helping partners with conversion. I assume you're very much involved in this sort of thing. Is this really
I have a big opinion
a better?
on that. I have a big opinion
Oh,
on it, because
I want to hear it.
Yeah, you can imagine that we, of course, want a thriving industry. It's in our best interest. We want all our partners to be hugely successful, and because if they're hugely successful, we will be successful. But what is the role we need to play, Dennis? I really put big question marks with a lot of these kind of aid programs. Of course, they're complex, unclear, they're kind of, I probably shouldn't say it, Leslie will kick me, but a kind of PR, programs to make companies look good. Is it really good for the partners? And that's what we looked at. And we say, what should we do? The key thing we need to do as a platform, bring back business as quickly as possible. Bring back demand in pockets that are really there.
If the businesses are still around, if the hotel is still open.
Of course, but then a little handout in credits will not make a difference. Yeah, so we carefully looked at what makes a difference, and what will make a difference is that partners will be able to fill their rooms again. And so I'm hugely skeptical, I'll be honest with you, on all the programs of our competitors in the industry, because I think they were complex, difficult to execute on. We hear, actually talking to partners, quite some criticism. I don't know what you hear, but it's kind of unclear. People might or might not get their credits. There are all kinds of stipulations to it, so I'm not excited about it. I think we should not add to noise. You know what I mean? Is that, I don't know how you feel about, how companies have managed the crisis, but one of my key mantras has been, let's not add to the noise. Let's focus on our role. Our role is to bring back demand as quickly as possible as we can, in a safe and appropriate way. And so I feel very strongly about it.
As a journalist, I like noise, but so give me an example of how you were actually working with hotels on the recovery.
Yeah, so what we said already, we try to give a lot of data insights. What are the best strategies? We're helping them with, hey, we see actually there's a lot of short-term demand. I'm making this up, yeah? So why don't you use this program to be able to capture that kind of last-minute demand? Or we see actually these local travel trends have opt into programs we have to really help you, fill your hotel with these kind of things. And I feel that that's probably the most important thing we can do, to really say, hey, here's where we see the opportunity, and here are the programs that we think will help you, maximize that opportunity. And that's more or less what we're doing. And you will see it yourself. Yeah.
So one last question. Booking.com is obviously a European brand.
It's a global brand. It's a global brand, Dennis.
It's a European headquartered brand. Okay.
Yes.
And over the last 5 years, Booking.com has tried to make inroads in the U.S. You worked in the U.S. for Google, and it seems like it's made some progress, but I don't think as fast as the company would like. You're going to say every company is not.
No, but I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
I think actually when you would look at any brand tracking in the US, you should have a look at it. Booking.com in the past years has really come up almost to the levels of Hotels.com and Expedia. So
I haven't seen that.
Okay. But have a look. So if you were to ask any American on the street, please mention a brand in our category, we're really up there now. So that's one thing to bear in mind. Secondly, clearly the US is a very big and also fragmented market. So who is really winning there? And we're really thinking through that. And I'm actually really proud on the work we've done. I don't know if you saw our end of year campaign. There's a booking for every resolution, and we saw some really promising results of that. And we wanted to extend that, but clearly, with the crisis hitting, we have to reevaluate how we go to market. And but still, US is of course important. And I want to make a bet maybe with you, Dennis, that when we speak next year or in 2 years, that Booking.com is the #1 brand in the US. Yeah? That is for sure an objective. Huh? You don't believe it?
I might take you up on that one. But one more, related to this. Coming out of this recovery or entering the recovery, when things come back to quote unquote normal, do you think Booking.com will be picking up market share against some of your competitors? Expedia has been struggling in some ways. Airbnb is probably on the rise. Do you think this crisis gives you an opportunity to take market share?
Yeah. How I would look at it is that what I hope is that the crisis shows to consumers that we're a very relevant platform. And we're very relevant because we have the most choice. So you can filter, much better than with other platforms. We have flexibility, with free cancellation being really something we offer on many of our rooms. So that's probably what I would hope, of course. That people use us and say, "Wow, this is very easy." And by the way, they're giving me exactly what I need. And I don't want to speak for competitors, and I don't want to treat also as if the world is a zero-sum game, Dennis. I don't really believe in that. Clearly, right. I think we have a great future ahead of us because we have, such great talent within the company. I think we work with fantastic partners in the industry. I do think we know a thing or two on marketing, and I shouldn't, blow my own trumpet or however you call it, but I do think that we have a state-of-the-art marketing team. And I'm very glad that one of the partners you spoke with said, "Well, Booking.com, they're good at marketing," and I'm glad to hear that. And we'll certainly push that. Yeah.
Let's drink to the future and better times ahead for everybody. So thank you very much for being here. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Speak soon.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
From the entire team at Skift, thank you for joining us at Skift Forum Europe 2020. We hope to have you join us again, and remember, you can always revisit some of these recordings from today should you have missed any of these discussions. Please visit skift.com for our continuing coverage of travel's recovery.